So, here we are, the next mainstream Sonic title. 4 years after the release of Sonic Lost World on the Wii U, Sonic Forces looks to be returning to the 3D boost formula that was introduced in Unleashed, perfected in colours, and left mainly untouched by generations. The trailer showcasing what appeared to be a fucked up world caused by Dr. Eggman's Death Egg Sentinels from Days of Future Past has Sonic all riled up as he teams up with classic Sonic from another dimension, not the past, and the brand new character to the series, you, or more specifically, your own original character. That's right, the selling point of Sonic Forces is the ability to create your own custom character to fight off against the evil Dr. Eggman and his new second-in-command, Infinite. Now, considering that it's been 2 years since I looked at a mainstream Sonic game, something that I need to go back to for obvious reasons, I technically haven't talked about any of the boost formula games, like Unleashed and the ones preceding before it and after it. But I feel the need to look at this game first, because, I'll be completely honest, as much as I was intrigued to see this kind of gameplay come back, I was also a little concerned with the reappearance of classic Sonic, and my outlook on the gameplay structure of modern Sonic is all the more baffling to me. So I see this as an opportunity to clarify what doesn't work here as opposed to what worked in the past. It felt like that this game was going to be taking the Generations route, which I'm usually fine with, but we already got a classic Sonic game being made by a community of Sonic hackers who understand the basic foundations and aspects of what makes 2D Sonic platforming fun, so this idea wasn't exactly sold on me very well. Then after about a year of almost nothing, we got wind of the new custom character creation trailer and the revealing villain of our game, Infinite. From that point on, I was sold. I promised myself I'd get the PS4 version, but I'll be looking at the PC version for this review, which I heard had to patch out some bugs and glitches on the first day, and from what I hear, people were experiencing crashes with the game after the first 3 stages. Oh dear, what a year. Now I want to make it clear that since Sonic Mania ties into Sonic Forces by its ending, there are going to be some major spoiler points, even though the story is nothing to really sink your teeth into. But if you don't want to see any spoilers, just click on this point of the video and I'll just skip you straight to the gameplay stuff. Dr. Eggman has been in his hardiest of hidey holes as he plans to initiate his greatest weapon amongst the world. Sonic is quick to jump in on the scene, but he quickly gets jumped by a returning cast of villains: Metal Sonic, Shadow, Zavok, Chaos, and the new edgelord, the hedgelord of the game, Infinite. After getting his ass brutally smacked, Sonic is presumed dead, Eggman has conquered 99% of the world, and a ragtag team of resistance fighters led by an overly serious Knuckles, who reminds me too much of Colonel Roy Campbell, recruit a new member to the team. Everyone, meet my original character, Drop the Bear. He is a half-vampire koala from the land down under, likes to take a collective chunder on Dr. Eggman's robots, and he's still waiting on his Centrelink money. He's not very restrained when it comes to the bottle-o, so don't you fucking mess with him. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, Tails gets attacked by the one-and-done Chaos before being rescued by classic Sonic, who I should reiterate, isn't from the past anymore, but from another dimension. Look, I know Blaze's relevance to where she is in the Sonic universe was rewritten so that she's from the future, but you can't up and change the rules like that again. And it pisses me off because Silver is in this game for reasons that are technically explained in the comics, and yes, I'll get on those straight after this. But this is just insulting because Tails acts like this version of Sonic has always come from a different dimension.
We're traveling through time and space!
Continuity be fucked like a $2 whore, ladies and gentlemen. From this point on, the story kind of jumps around in places before it actually starts to have focus again at the midpoint, but during that time, Sonic manages to make his way out of the Death Egg after seemingly being tortured for 6 months. Firstly, Sonic, you look and sound pretty chipper for someone who's been tortured for so long. He runs into Gadget the Wolf, yes, that's what I'm calling the promotional character since the Sonic fanbase seems to like calling him that. And from then on, it's a giant rat race to try and defeat Dr. Eggman and his new commander Infinite before 3 days are up. Now this guy technically has a backstory in the form of the episode Shadow DLC, which comes free when you buy the game. But I'm just going to be frank here, for someone who has a cheesy as fuck theme song that I honestly can't get quite enough of, and I also made a parody video about, which you should totally check out, this guy's backstory is so fucking lame. He's some ex-mercenary of a squad of jackals, he gets his ass beat by Shadow, and because he doesn't like being called the weakest of the weak, he adopts the power of the Phantom Ruby, the same one that led classic Sonic to this game. He dons a badass looking helmet, and while his power is somewhat remarkable, this guy is not that hard to beat, and honestly, his power source in this game is very confusing to me. It's stated in-game that it has the power to generate copies of previous people with the same abilities and data, which is why the likes of Metal Sonic and the others are here. And by the way, you don't ever fight Chaos or Shadow, but it also has the ability to manipulate Reality. I mean, it makes sense in the context of Sonic Mania showing off the different levels as a means to generate something that supposedly isn't there, but how does it give the hard-boiled heavies an infinite power if it only generates theoretical power? I know I shouldn't dwell on it so much, but the problem is that this game tries to clarify it so poorly, and it makes me feel like bits of the story were missing. Why is Chaos here? Beats me. You could have taken him out of the picture, and the game would have been no different. Same thing for Classic Sonic. I know why he's here gameplay-wise, it's because Generations sold well. But none of that really matters as the combined powers of Sonic, Dimension Sonic, and Gadget the Wolf all team up to destroy Infinite and put a stop to Eggman's plans. Dimension Sonic is sent back home, Sonic runs off toward another adventure, as does your main character right off into the sunset. Possibly for another game? I don't know, and I don't think the writers knew either. Look, I'll give this game credit with several good high points. The animation for this is actually pretty good, particularly when there's really good choreographed fight scenes and some really heart-pumping action scenes. I feel like they got down the adrenaline in this game right, even if some scenes are ripped directly from Star Wars and look a lot like a Star Fox game.
You've got an enemy on your tail!
Have you now?
You're becoming more like your father.
The characterization in this is really good, particularly for Sonic. I legitimately got some good laughs out of him, but that can't be said for the rest of the cast. They all do serviceable jobs, I mean particularly Infinite, but the writing is so basic, it's just flavor text. Sure, some of them do get their high points, but it's just quickly glanced over, it doesn't even matter. Honestly, I thought Infinite would have been given more depth given the lyrics of his theme song, and because I don't want to spend too much time on this, then I should. But I honestly thought he was going to be written as a corrupted hero kind of villain. The Phantom Ruby corrupts this poor kid who wanted to be just like his heroes, and the Avatar is not only on a mission to save his or her world, but to save their friend. If you want more of an idea of what I'm talking about, check out Super Scourge's theory video on it, it really kicks ass. Outside of that, everyone just does their job. The story is nothing remarkable if not a little empty in places, and the setting... I mean, it's a cool idea to see Eggman already own a majority of the planet, but nothing is really done to really signify how much of his power really affects people. He just sort of builds war factories, but doesn't really roboticize cities or anything like that. I know this isn't Archie Comics or Sat AM where you can feel that kind of vibe, but I think most people were gonna get that when they saw this trailer. Okay then, on to the gameplay. Since Sonic Forces harkens back to the days of ye olde Generation style, we have the returning Modern, Classic, and the newly implemented Avatar stages. To kick things off, Modern Sonic is back to using his boost gameplay. He doesn't need a run button to initiate his most basic primary ability, so everything seems to be working until you actually start getting a feel for his controls. Sonic feels like he has a lot of stiffness to his movement when it comes to turning corners and stages, where you try to go out of your way to find secrets. He's more concerned about being relegated into going in a straight line. The reason that I think that they do this is because the level designers try to alleviate the problem of fixing your general direction and the lack of drift button, which is surprisingly missing from this game, by placing dash panels everywhere. Now, dash panels aren't something I'm particularly salty over if they give you that little bit of extra speed. But no, they sprinkle these things all over the goddamn place, and I know it's supposed to emulate that feeling of speed, but you can't do that with sporadically overpopulated machines that take away control from the player. Sometimes they don't even put dash panels where it's necessary in stages like Metropolis where there's gaps in the wall that you're supposed to be avoiding and you can't turn properly. When Modern Sonic is moving in 2D, sometimes it feels okay to control. I'm not happy about having Sonic being controlled in a 2D environment where he should be moving on from that into 3D, but with these stages, they could be worse. I feel like the jump is both a little heavy and also a little loose. I can never get a right feel for it at the beginning, and I actually fucked up on some basic platforming when I did stages like Chemical Plant and the Death Egg. I actually would have liked it if Modern Sonic was mostly 3D gameplay for once, because while this game clearly wants to harken back to the days of what worked for marketing, I also see this game trying to replicate other games like the Adventure series, with the Egg Gate Zone, Metropolis, and even the Volcanic Crater level. Classic Sonic is once again brought back for this adventure, and I'm going to be straight up honest about this. His stages are the worst. His control is nowhere near fine-tuned like it was in Mania. You can't use the D-pad anymore for some strange reason. You can't even use a super spin dash like you could in Generations. Now that really threw me off. Classic Sonic's problems stem from a lack of originality and overabundance on hidden springs and dash panels. Again, they're trying to emulate the feeling of speed by placing these things everywhere. But, spoilers, Dimps did that in Sonic 4 Episode 2 a bunch of times and it was horseshit. It's more fun if people actually try to work toward earning that speed and being good at the game, instead of being relegated to being speedy all the time. If they were speedy all the time, then there is no sense of speed at all. And I don't know what they did with classic Sonic's speed, but it feels like he's being pushed back by gravity constantly. And despite the fact that they try to incorporate the drop dash feature, it's clear that these levels aren't built around that mechanic. Oh, and need I say more about this bit in Chemical Plant where momentum is fucked beyond belief? This is why I don't get why Classic Sonic is in this game. It would have been fine just to leave him in Sonic Mania in his own separate classic universe. The one saving grace in this entire game is, surprisingly, the custom avatar. Now, despite what kind of footage I'm using to show off Gadget the Wolf for the cutscenes, I went out of my way to create 5 different characters: the pre-mentioned Drop the Bear, Gadget the Wolf, Promotional the Cat, Advertising the Bird, and Cream the Rabbit, now with a gun. You can pick out 7 different races to play with, and each animal comes with their own added perks. The wolf can attract rings, the bird can double jump, the bear can blow away enemies with the homing attack, the cat can hold onto a number of rings after taking a hit, etc, etc. By completing missions, earning S ranks, red rings, and completing SOS missions, you can earn different clothes and accessories for your character to customize with, in addition to different wisp bonds you can use. Wisp bonds are basically weaponized versions of the wisps from Colors in Lost World, but you can still use their primary abilities such as burst, hover, drill, and all that, and most of the weapons work fine. Others have some sort of weird wind-up time, like you have to tap the button for the drill wisp to get it to ram through enemies, but I swear it doesn't work on my Xbox controller. I remember having an easier time on my PS4 using this. Honestly, using the avatar is perhaps the best thing about this game. You can play however you want, you can discover ways to complete the level, even if the game encourages you to use wisps to find secrets and rings, which, yeah, this game gives you a lot of rings. There's no lives in this game for some odd reason. It's mainly used as a means of getting an S rank, although it would have been neat if the rings were used as a currency to buy more clothes and accessories for your character. The level design is roughly around the same as it is for modern Sonic, and you can team up with him in certain missions, and that is where this double boost feature comes in. It's a neat idea, but it's overall completely pointless. If you boosted through these bits like normal, it wouldn't have mattered. I know that this was done for story purposes and the power of friendship and all that, but you couldn't have found a more interesting way to play around with this idea? Graphically, this game is very good. It's beautiful, in fact. It runs at a consistent 60 frames per second, details and textures on characters' gloves, clothing, and masks are highly detailed, and despite a simplistic style and an environment and level structure, the game does look very good. Aesthetically, though, that's where I'm a little mixed. I like the look of stages like Park Avenue and Metropolis, but god damn it, do we have to really see Green Hill, Death Egg, and Chemical Plant all return here? We already got way better versions of these stages. Some of these places aren't all that exciting to look at, in fact, nor play through. And this is something I want to point out. Despite the fact that you get 30 stages to play through, it feels like bits and pieces of levels you revisit or look alike feel like they were supposed to be parts of one giant level, which would explain how I managed to S-rank this game really easily, even on hard mode. This game was no problem for me, but it feels like chunks of these levels were taken and placed in different places across the map. The bosses. My god, the bosses. These are not fun. In fact, they're one of the worst I've ever played. Infinite probably has one of the more interesting boss fights, bearing his final form, which is just a repeat Metal Sonic boss fight. But man, did this game flunk big time in using Chaos and Shadow as potential boss fights. I know they were in Generations, but these guys could have had some interesting fights if you actually fucking use them! Overall, my experience with Sonic Forces is simply okay. I think it looks good, the cutscenes look great, and some of the music is actually pretty good. I actually like the idea of vocal songs coming back, and actually taking advantage of the avatar's silence as an opportunity to create a story arc using the songs. That was a friggin' great idea! The game falls short for being a cut and dry experience with no signs of innovation and or creative liberties. It feels cobbled together with duct tape that tries desperately to maintain a fantastically woven tapestry. I mean, you just can't do that. Despite all of that, I still find myself returning to this game and trying to collect all those accessories and trying out the other characters. I'll admit, I am grossly invested in just creating my own character and coming up with my own adventures when I turn the radio off. This is the kind of imaginative freedom that games like LEGO Star Wars would always make me happy about. That ability to personify my creations in a world I was deeply invested in, I mean, a lot of people get a kick out of that by playing MMORPGs, so it makes sense that for someone who was really into these, to be emotionally invested in this as well. In the end, I hope the team at Sonic Forces can find the time to be creatively rejuvenated and really put in an effort to evolve the Sonic series. If it means anything, I wouldn't mind seeing them try out the adventure formula again, or hell, even the Rush series. Hell, classic Sonic worked really well in Sonic Mania, I could see that getting a sequel soon. And I know that this game was made by level designers who are new to the team, but I really think with the right people, maybe from other studios of other fan creators of 3D titles and demos and fan hacks and all of that, the kind of passionate game designers who really want to push this series forward, you gotta try harder, Sonic Team. I know for a fact that this series can go above and beyond, and really hit the jackpot when it reaches for the stars. Me and the rest of you guys out there that love this series so much want this series to succeed, and to bring us all that level of enjoyment that we felt as kids and we will enjoy when we're adults. I know plenty of people love this game, and I'm glad they do. For the majority of us who were disappointed, take it for what it's worth, and do try to find the right people to make Sonic games fun to play. In the meantime, I can safely say that if you have kids who like LEGO games and like to be creative, Sonic Forces is a fun pastime and potential time sinker in finding all those Avatar accessories. If you're a Sonic fan, you're expecting a little bit more, I don't know, wait for a price drop or something.
You gonna keep moving forward? No matter what, yeah? You and I aren't so different. See you later, buddy.
As for me, I think it's about time I took that break that I mentioned in the last video. But when I come back before the end of the year, I'm going to be taking a look at Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. I hope you're all looking forward to that, because that's going to be my first Mario review, as well as my first Switch review. Can't wait to see how well that turns out. Until then, take care of yourselves, have a good evening, and as always, stay awesome, lovely viewers. Until then.